Charlie Norwood VA has started vaccinating some of our most vulnerable veterans.
On top of that, Aiken Regional has been allocated a vaccine shipment as well, meaning they're one of a number of hospitals expecting those doses soon. But let's begin tonight at University Hospital. Brady Tratton live there where they're seeing that rise in hospitalizations, and that's a concern, Brady.
Yeah, Richard, it is, and health officials here say, unfortunately, the situation is only going to get worse. They say that people are, of course, heeding the hopes of and hearing the hopes of the vaccine, but it's not going to make that much of a difference if you get infected. Smiling faces in a vaccination clinic fully open at the Charlie Norwood VA in Augusta. A chance to begin protecting those who've been serving so many of us. A bright spot as University Hospital sees its highest number of hospitalizations since the start of the pandemic.
Thanksgiving has caused us to have a surge here, and we don't see it stopping.
Renee Gallup is the Chief Operating Officer for Acute Care Services at University. They admitted 31 COVID patients in 24 hours, with now 119 hospitalized.
We have the capability to have beds here and open for patients. It's really the staffing resource that we're challenged with.
They brought in travel nurses, international nurses, and they're also offering more pay.
We've done some cross-training of current staff to cover areas, as well as working with those not just nursing staff, but support staff.
They're waiting on doses of the Pfizer vaccine as well, but they don't know when they'll be here, and the Department of Public Health hasn't sent a notice yet. AU Health is planning to administer their first doses of vaccine to frontline healthcare workers tomorrow, while University is trying to keep everyone they can on the front lines.
We've already have plans in place to vaccinate our really healthcare workers that are at the front lines taking care of patients.
And University Hospital says they plan to open 2 negative airflow units at their downtown main hospital location and could potentially open up a third, all to handle this big surge of patients.
All this, Brady, right as the vaccine arrives. Thank you for the live update there from University. Let's have a quick look at some of our other hospitals this evening. You can see all of them have significantly more COVID patients than they did back on the 1st of December, just 15 days ago. Doctors Hospital has more than double the patients since then. Aiken Regional getting close to double that number.
And here's a look at cases across some of our Georgia counties. Both Richmond and Columbia counties saw drops in new cases. Richmond County had 56 new cases today after seeing at least 100 new cases in 5 of the last 7 days. 28 new cases in Columbia County. That's 3 straight days of fewer new cases than the day before. So trending hopefully in the right direction. Of course, there's a lag with these hospitalization patients. We're seeing cases from weeks past now showing up in the hospital. And as hospitals get these doses, doctors and city leaders in Augusta say their focus will be handling mistrust in the vaccine. Research shows a lot of that mistrust is in the Black community. Sierra Cummings is live for us at the municipal building. And Sierra, you say the mayor is getting very involved, very hands-on in this.
The mayor, commissioners, even local medical experts. In order for the vaccine to have a chance at ending the pandemic, at least 70% of people would have to take it. Now, that goal might be a little harder here in Augusta because some of the most at-risk people are some of the most skeptical.
Will you be taking the vaccine once it's available to the general public?
Once it's available to the general public, we look forward to taking it. Again, it's certainly not going to come quick enough.
While it's no confirmed cure, local leaders are calling it a light at the end of the tunnel. But a symptom proving to be just as persistent as hope is mistrust.
The challenge around people's fear and trepidation about getting the vaccine, particularly when you talk about communities of color.
While Pew Research found 61% of white Americans would get the vaccine, it shows only 42% of Black Americans say they would. Mayor Davis tells us there's been an overwhelming amount of skepticism within Augusta's Black population, too.
Informing, educating, and empowering our community.
It's why the city will be specifically focusing efforts on changing the narrative. He says they're working on a series of public forums and workshops with local experts to address fears and facts.
And so our message to the broader community, and without question, the communities of color, is that this is our way to move back to some place of normalcy.
Our IT found 54% of Richmond County's population is black, yet they make up 63% of local COVID deaths. So while doubt pierces the community where COVID already disproportionately hit, city leaders say the rise in deaths and hospitalizations,
Those are not just numbers.
should be an indication receiving the vaccine must be a priority.
Those are family members, those are loved ones, those are friends, those are coworkers.
And Laura, we learned on top of these efforts, city officials have begun conversations with the state about possible pop-up vaccine clinics in the future, but keeping in mind that the vaccine likely won't be available to the general public until sometime next year.
You really have to stay vigilant until then, and I know the city and health workers in general have an uphill battle convincing a lot of people. Sierra, thank you.
Right here before Christmas, a family of 7 left without a home after this fire this afternoon. It broke out around 2 o'clock on Highway 421, that's Augusta Road in Beach Island. Firefighters say when they got to the house, it was covered in flames. 2 adults and 5 children called that place home, and everyone inside made it out safely. The Red Cross is now helping that family get back on their feet, and law enforcement shut down Augusta Road for a while with traffic backed up over a mile as they waited to clear the scene, but that road is expected to reopen sometime soon.
A gun was brought to an elementary school in Columbia County, but parents don't worry. They say nothing happened. Officials say a student at Baker Place Elementary had the gun, but it was not loaded. Law enforcement is looking into this, but the district says there was never a threat to students or teachers.
Time for a check of the weather as we give you a live. There are disturbing details coming out after an elderly woman dies in a local nursing home. Now the family of Jean Simmons is suing Windermere Nursing Home after the coroner ruled her death a homicide due to neglect. The lawsuit says she faced malnutrition, dehydration, and multiple pressure sores. Attorneys say this happened last June before COVID. She died in the day after she was taken to the ER because of a UTI, kidney infection, and mold in her catheter. We have the full lawsuit for you to see on our website. There's a $5,000 reward for any tip that leads to the arrest of this suspect. The pictures, they're not great, but this is what law enforcement has to work off as well. The suspect is wanted for a burglary at the Blanchard Equipment Company on Monday. That's in Waynesboro, near George Massey Road and 6th Street. Deputies say the suspect broke in and stole equipment there. If you know who the suspect might be or where they might be, call the Burke County Sheriff's Office.
Well, something to get you in the giving spirit. Plenty of ways to give back in the river region this season.
Will Rio looks at some of the ways to do that as he introduces us to one generous 12-year-old.
It's been a tough year for many people and many families, and now more than ever, it's important for the community to come together. That's what Noah Cato is doing with his coat drive.
I just wanted to help the kids in need.
For his 12th birthday, Noah decided he wanted to hold a coat drive to help kids in Aiken County schools.
The virus is going on, so times are hard, and sometimes people don't have the stuff that they need to get cozy for winter.
Last week was his birthday, and he was able to gather 270 coats for 37 schools in front of the Sam's Club in Aiken. And right down the road, the Christmas store nonprofit is collecting toys.
We just wait. We can't wait till this time of year to get it done. This is our Christmas.
They help low-income families get toys, food, and clothing for the holidays. And they have one goal:
To put some smiles on some children's faces where there otherwise would not be any.
They're helping 335 kids this year, but usually they have 400 to 600. Most kids ask for bikes and footballs, but others just want something simple.
Are you willing to give back and to see the smiles on the children's faces and the families when you help them? And they come in, for instance, we have a 14-year-old. Some of what he wanted was more than anything else was pillows. Regular pillows.
Across the river, a church group is helping give toys to 10 kids at Jenkins White Elementary.
And if we can give back, just remember the reason that we're celebrating Christmas, and this is what we're doing, and the children are elated and delighted to see the gifts that they have received today.
Those gifts were tablets, clothes, bikes, and more. And they say events like these should happen every day.
We're hoping that other organizations will take a look at what we've done and do the same thing. And not just for Christmas. They need it year-round.
In Augusta, Will Rio, on your side.
So it is the giving season. If you want to help donate to some of these families in need, you can go to the Christmas store's website or you can just show up at St. Mark Methodist Church to donate the toys and clothing there.
And there are plenty of other ways to help out this holiday season. The Edgefield Toys for Tots giving out toys Saturday, but they're still looking for donations. You can donate online. Just search Edgefield Toys for Tots. In places like the Salvation Army and Golden Harvest, they're always looking for donations as they work to house and feed people in our community year-round. You can donate at their respective websites. Golden Harvest got some great news, though. Huge donation, $9 million. That was donated by author and philanthropist Mackenzie Scott, the ex-wife of Amazon founder Jeff Bezos. She's donated billions of dollars in the last few months. The food bank says the $9 million will go toward expanding the program and funding new projects to feed people in the River region. But man, $9 million, that will help a lot of people.
That's huge. Also looking for donations, large or small. One of our favorite animal activists, Roman, he says donations are pouring in for his group, Project Freedom Ride, as they collect food and toys and more for the Washington Wilkes Animal Shelter. An Amazon wish list with dozens of items they still need is posted on Project Freedom Ride's Facebook page. They're also asking folks to vote for them for the Petco Foundation's People's Choice Award. That would bring the Project Freedom Ride $25,000.
If you're not fully ready to commit to a new pet right now, this might be perfect for you. Augusta Animal Services is hosting its Home for the Holidays foster event. Starts this Friday, and for a week, you can have them home for Christmas. Even if you don't keep them, it can help them open up some space in those shelters.
A lot of people feel a little guilty at the potential of them bringing them back, but it can help them get adopted and takes down the stress levels exponentially. And it's just great to have an extra pair of furry paws running around the house for the holidays.
And pets are available for pickup Friday and Saturday. They can be dropped back off between December 27th and January 4th. But if you do fall in love, you can always follow through with the adoption process. That is what they're hoping happens. Adoptions are only $25 through the 31st, so you can't beat that deal. For the first time in years, a local football standout is heading to play for the University of Georgia. We meet him and hear his story next.
It has been a wet Wednesday, but we're seeing the last of the rain move out this evening. Take a look at a drier forecast tomorrow coming up.
Well, even though many of us are less than 2 hours away from the University of Georgia, not many of our high school football players get offers to play for the Dogs.
It's the big show, but today we saw the latest commit to UGA from the River region. Nick Proto tells us his story.
Lavassier Carroll signed his national letter of intent to play football for the Dogs in the fall. Carroll started his high school career at Warren County, but went to Florida to play for IMG Academy for his junior and senior seasons.
Playing game like one of the top schedule in the country and playing game like some of the top recruits, it showed what I really had.
Carroll had offers from Alabama, Notre Dame, Ohio State, and plenty of other big-name schools, but this Warrenton native had his heart set on UGA long before putting pen to paper.
When I first got the offer and I first visited, it felt like home, immediately. Then, it close to home. It's an hour and 20 from home.
Even though he spent the last 2 years playing somewhere else, Carroll signed the letter at the auditorium at Warren County High School.
It means a lot because this way it all started at, even though I went IMG, but it all started here. My 9th grade started here. My process of, going to Division I started here. So, I had to come back home and do it.
Friends and family sat and watched as Carroll signed his letter. He says it was difficult to be away from family when he went to Florida. It's one reason he chose to go to Georgia, and it's the reason he wanted to sign in his hometown.
They were all my fans at. They were all my supporters at. They've been supporting me since I left. Even though I left, they could turn their backs on me or whatever, but they still stand by me. When I was at IMG doing great things there, they were still on my side, supporting me, congratulating me.
And they'll be able to support him much more the next few years, since he'll only be a few miles down the road. In Warren County, Nick Proto, on your side.
And we are always excited to have fantastic talent on the Dogs roster.
Statesboro is just down the road, but I guess it's too late to make a pitch for the Eagles. But
much too late.
Good for the Dogs. We're happy for him. We've got more on early signing day. Mike tells us about the other athletes from the area moving on to the next level in their academic and football careers. It's all coming up next in sports.
I'm David Perdue. The Live Eye Camera Network is brought to you by Mountaineer Pest Services. On your sideline, sports brought to you by the Hawk Law Group.
Early signing day is always an exciting day for football players across the country. We already saw former Warren County star Lavassier Carroll sign to Georgia. Here are some of the others. Williston Elko's A.J. Chandler put pen to paper committing to Howard University. We've seen a number of talented players take a step away from the Power 5 and other larger conferences to play at historically black colleges and universities this year. While that factored in the decision, Chandler's just looking forward to playing ball.
We kind of really teamed up to come to Howard. Like, everybody really came together and made a big decision. It means a lot because little kids walk up and tell me all the time, like, they look up to me. So it really made my day.
Some 30 years ago, Pastor George Breitharp had the pleasure of announcing one member of his congregation was going to play football at Wake Forest. Today, the same honor. Strom Thurmond's B.J. Williams has known he'll be playing at Wake Forest for quite some time, though with the difficulty surrounding recruitment this year, he's relieved the process is over and hopes him attending a Power 5 will get more of our area's players on the map.
One thing, I'm just glad I'm able to do that and put ourselves on the map because we have a lot of young players on our team, on other teams that really don't get looked at. So it's just with me going to a big school like this, it's just putting us on the map, and I'm grateful that I'm able to do that.
Also signing Laney's Jordan Stringer will be headed to Troy, and Washington Wilkes product Justin Myers is headed to Georgia Southern. It's now official, Georgia will not have a makeup game on Saturday, and the Dogs will finish the regular season 7-2. Now it's just time to wait for Georgia's bowl fate.